Afternoon, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. John Kelly, profiler here, and welcome. Welcome to this really sad case we have going on here. We don't know what's happened to these men out in Austin, Texas. Police aren't saying there's any kind of murders or serial killer running around, but, we have 4 dead men since February and 8 dead men in the last 10 months in Lady Bird Lake. So obviously there's something wrong somewhere. I want to send out my deepest condolences and sympathies to the family and friends of the victims. I think it's very important, and to the whole city of Austin. This has got to be terrifying. You don't know if you have a killer on the loose or not. So it can be very upsetting, and sorry for all your troubles and everything that's happened and all you're going through. You've sent over a lot of great questions from our last video. You sent over some great comments, wonderful feedback, a lot of good thinking, a lot of great thoughts, and subscriptions. Thank you. Thank you for your comments and subscriptions. We really appreciate them. Today, we're going to be talking about victimology a little bit, and we're going to be doing a rundown on what we went over. Before we get into it, again, I'd like to thank everybody for purchasing my book, Discovering Lazarus. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all your great comments. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of John Kelly, how I kicked a horrible cocaine habit, became a psychotherapist, and then moved on to become a profiler. Thanks again, folks. I appreciate it. The other thing I want to talk about is, when we start looking at the victimology, we start looking at drown in the lake. That's what the common theory seems to be in the area, maybe as far as law enforcement goes, until they find something that's contrary to the men just drowning in the lake. Well, certainly they weren't swimming in that lake. That lake is probably one of the worst lakes in the United States you could try and swim in. You'd want to talk about pollution. It's hard for me to believe that lake is so polluted. Anybody tries to swim in that lake is definitely in for a lot of trouble. There's no question about it. The other thing that I keep thinking about, well, if this is a serial killer, if there is a killer killing these men or some of these men, because it's all up in the air right now. What kind of serial killer would he be? Because don't forget, serial killer is kind of a coverall. There's various subtypes when you get into serial killers. For instance, you have a sexual killer. You have, that's your fantasy killer, more or less. You have a revenge killer. And then you have a mission killer. Somebody's on a mission to kill people, like they're on a mission to kill gay people, like the Last Call killer out of New York, who was on a mission to kill gay guys, right? And then you have homeless serial killers. They're on a mission. They want to get rid of the homeless, so they start, for whatever reason, killing homeless people. And then, of course, most of your victims are usually women. And then you're dealing with really a sexual kind of sadistic kind of serial killer. Some are, some aren't. They all have different fetishes. But there are various subtypes is what I'm trying to bring out. Serial killer is a coverall, but then you have to break it down once you get enough information to figure out which subtype it is, and start working through that category. Okay. So it seems the general consensus is that these guys drowned in the lake, and it seems most of them were down around Rainy Street, came from Rainy Street. So we have to see, right? We need more information. It seems a lot of them, if not all of them, had alcohol in them, but I don't see, and the power here is in the question, I don't see where they tested for specific drugs like GHB or Rohypnol. any of the benzodiazepine drugs from the benzo family. I don't see any of that yet. Maybe we'll see that later on. They should be looking for specific drug categories, if not a specific drug in particular. But there are different categories. Okay. For instance, Valium and Xanax are all part of the benzo family. So, you have different drugs that make up a family, if you will, of prescription medication. So this is what they should be looking for, and hopefully, we'll see if something pops up. I'm sure it would make people feel a lot easier if we had an answer. Also, I'm concerned about these men. They're all alone. So you got to picture, if you think they all drowned, and they didn't commit suicide, either they all committed suicide or some of them didn't commit suicide. It's hard to believe they all committed suicide. So why would they be alone? Why would they be alone at Lady Bird Lake? It's obviously not for the swimming, right? So why would they be alone there? And so if they weren't alone, who were they with? And that's something hopefully law enforcement can find out. Just find out who were they with, who was the last person to see them. As one of my colleagues brought up, what was going on in their lives at the time? When you look at each of these people, if you're talking about suicide, right? What was going on in their lives at the time? What is different now in Lady Bird Lake, or in the last 10 months around Lady Bird Lake, that's new? What's new? What's new in that whole system of the area? What's new there in the last 10 months that wasn't there before? Because you haven't had this many bodies at one time before, right? So you have to take that into consideration. So it's really, it's not a whodunit yet, but it's a kind of getting close to that. It's like a really what's going on kind of thing. And again, I lean more towards a serial killer. I really do at this point. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll admit I'm wrong. And I hope law enforcement proves me wrong. But they got to prove me wrong. Okay. The other thing is, that grabs me about a serial. Why an area where there's no cameras? I mean, there's no cameras around. Okay. So you see, a predator is going to look around to see if there's cameras, because the camera is an eyewitness. Did you guys know that? Cameras are eyewitnesses. Okay. So, somebody that has nefarious or horrific ideas might be thinking to themselves, well, let me scope out this area. Oh, this area is perfect. There's no cameras. Nobody will be able to see me coming, going, bringing somebody, leaving without them. See, this all makes up, various dynamics in my mind to create, my theory. Okay. Or leaning towards that theory. It's not cemented in yet, but it's a theory, a really good theory, right? Then you have to ask yourself, when they were tested, did they have water in their lungs? Did they have lake water in their lungs? If they drown in the lake, they should have lake water in their lungs, correct? I mean, that's what we want to look at. If they were killed in some other nefarious way, for instance, if they were smothered, I'll give you a scenario. A guy goes with somebody, and all of a sudden they slip him a roofie. The guy goes out, he passes out, he's unconscious. So the other guy wants to kill him. And don't forget, while he's unconscious, this other person or killer could have complete power and control over him because he's totally unconscious, from the date rape drug. Okay. So then he can do whatever he wants. So that means what? If he can do whatever he wants, that means what? It means power and control. He can have power and control over. Correct? What are serial killers always looking for? Power and control. Okay. So you have to ask yourself, you know, you know, if there's not lake water in the lungs, we got a problem, because that means they were killed elsewhere and then transported there. So it has to be really checked out. My guess is, well, I got to leave it up in the air. I'm 50% of me believes there is, 50% of me believes there's not. I would think that they would have come up with something by now if it wasn't lake water, to be honest with you. But we'll see. We have to wait. I mean, we have to wait for law enforcement. They're very good out there. So let's see what they come up with. Okay. The next thing we're going to be looking into is a kind of a psychological autopsy, and I give you a bit of an outline today on where we're going with that. I mean, these people are supposed to have committed suicide. Did any of them leave any notes? I haven't heard anything about anybody leaving any notes. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of people who commit suicide do not leave notes. All right. But I mean, out of all these people, not even one note, to say goodbye to somebody. So I'm up in the air over this, usually people that are going to commit suicide give a lot of their stuff away. There's always warning signs one way or the other before a person commits suicide. Most of the time, they'll either, start giving their personal things away to other people, because they're not going to need them, right? If they commit suicide and they're dead. And also, too, how many of these people searched online on the best way to commit suicide? Okay, because that's something a lot of people who commit suicide do. They look at the various ways online to kill themselves. And it is online. It'll go over different ways, various ways on how you can kill yourself. And that's what grabbed me in the beginning, because drowning is way down on the list. Drowning is not anywhere near the top of the list on best way to kill yourself, or, one of the more painless ways of killing yourself, like instead of taking pills or, through carbon monoxide. I mean, drowning can be pretty torturous. Waterboarding, we're familiar with waterboarding, right? And why it's a torture? Well, because it makes you feel like you're drowning. So, drowning can't be a day at the beach, if you know what I'm talking about. No pun intended, really. But so the point I'm trying to make is, there's different things that have to be looked at here. There's a lot of questions that have to be answered, and again, the internet searches are very important. Were these people depressed? Usually people that commit suicide are suffering from severe depression. Okay, major depression is going on. And, if they are, I mean, their family would know it. There would be signs. Were they on medication for depression? Were they on any antidepressants? Was there any antidepressants found in their system? How's that? Okay. If you're going to commit suicide and you're suffering from depression, and that's a lengthy time that you have this depression, okay, and and people are noticing it, people are talking to you about it. Eventually, you might go and see a doctor and get some medication for it, right? There's been a lot of people that have been on various medications before they committed suicide. They tried to treat it. They tried to feel better, but in their mind, it didn't work. It wasn't going to work. That's how, depression is. And it's like this gigantic dark cloak that completely engulfs you, and you can see no way out. There's no light at the end of the tunnel, if you know what I mean. That's what your mind is telling you. It's not true, It's not true. It's a permanent solution, really, to a very temporary problem. But the people that are so depressed and so sick with depression, they see no other way out of the torturous mindset they're in, so they kill themselves. So I think that has to be looked at too. Were they on any medication? Was there any counseling? Was there any doctors involved? What do family members have to say about their affect and attitude around this time when they disappeared and ended up found in the lake? And then I'm also interested in were they found with their wallets? Were they found with their phones? Some of the suicides I've seen and been involved with, the person that makes up their mind they're going to commit suicide, they usually don't take their phone. They usually don't take their wallet with their info and money or whatever in it, because they are scared that somebody who finds their body will steal their identification or their money. Well, anyway, we've got a lot of questions here, a little short on answers, but you guys really have brought forth a lot of good info. You're really on your game. And I know the way you are talking about this, the way you are diving into this, and I can tell you're very, very interested, and you're looking into all these various scenarios and solutions. And I can't thank you enough, because we appreciate all the feedback we get from you guys, especially you guys that live in Austin. Please, all the feedback, let us know. Okay. We'd even like to have you on. Okay. I mean, we want to know what it's like inside that city. Okay. What's going on there? So anyway, that's all I have for now. I cannot again thank you enough for everything you have done. Please be careful out there. Please stay safe and take really good care of yourself, and have a wonderful day. God bless. Thank you.